Joe does a very good job with those motions.
Motions?
Yeah.
We're live, Bob.
We're live.
Yes, we are. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Newton, New Hampshire Board of Selectmen's meeting. Today's date is December 7th. The time is 6:06, and we will start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Not everybody at once, but citizens' input.
Should they take a number?
I'd like to say something, Bob.
This is always when it gets serious, when
Right.
Joe puts down the lapel mic and comes to the podium.
Good evening, Joe Simone, Selectman. I just wanted to just thank the Newton Rec Commission, the Police Department, John Sylvia, and the road agent for helping with the success of a town lighting, the tree that we had this past Sunday. The weather was a little against us, but even though we had about probably between 60 to 75 adults and children there, I think everybody had a good time, so hopefully it's the start of a tradition moving forward.
Good.
Very nice. Glad we had a nice turnout. And that gratitude comes from everybody here at Town Hall. Thank you very much. Anybody on Zoom that would like to discuss anything that's on tonight's agenda before we start? Or any questions about it? Any concerns? No hands. With that being said, we will move on to administration. First agenda item is the town seal for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This was initially brought about by just informal conversations we were having downstairs, and I believe Selectman Simone actually walked in on a couple of them. Our town seal exists by virtue of a vote of the board. It doesn't need to go to town meeting or anything like that. And when you look at our town seal, do you have them? Right there in front. You bringing it up now? So it says town of Newton, New Hampshire, established 1749. It's just the date. If you look in below, you'll see the carriage that I've seen on signs around town. Newton is a friendly community, and it's got the carriage on it. I was wondering if you wanted to adopt this for the 275 anniversary, or simply authorize the committee to use it on shirts, t-shirts, blazers, swag, whatever you want to call it. So there are two things to think about between now and that doesn't even have to be the next meeting. Do you want to engage in changing the Newton Town seal? And if not, would you authorize the committee to use the new design on logos and things like that?
Well, to be honest with you, when I first got this and I opened up my mail and was taking a look at it, I think that the new proposed one brings a lot more character to the seal for the town of Newton. And I think that it would be a great improvement for the town to implement that.
So the one thing I was thinking about is that we have employees who wear uniforms. The seal may be part of the uniform, so there might be a concern with not having the transition to a newer seal happen as quickly as we'd like to, because the uniforms get replaced over time.
Right.
So they'll eventually all be uniform and have the new seal on it, but it won't be done right away.
Yeah,
With no sense going out and buying new
Exactly.
shirts or equipment. So something to think about. We don't have to make a decision now.
Another question, who put this together, this draft seal? Was this like an in-house thing we did?
Well, I
Yes.
think it was a collaboration. When we met with our committee, we said, you know, we really should have some type of a seal that encompasses the anniversary and whatnot for use on, you know, with the 275. And we talked to Carol Zott, she's a local artist, and she's done a little work in town on some different things, and she originally did a couple of the designs, and so she just put a pen to paper and came up with a few renditions.
Yeah, because I would say at the highest level, I think Bob said it, has more character. I think I tend to agree with that. This looks a little, I'm going to say something, I don't know who approved that original.
They're not around.
They're not around. But this looks more classic. That looks a little more, you
There's
know.
character to it.
Yeah, you know, but the only feedback I would give is, at least one point in my career, I was involved a lot with graphic designers. I was not a graphic designer, but I worked with them a lot. And I know that when they do something like this, they like really do something in terms of measuring how far the letters are spaced apart so
Yep.
that it's balanced and stuff
I
like that.
see what you're saying, because
You
the
know what I'm
of
saying?
is
Yep.
off to the right, left, so.
So that's the only reason I bring that up, is if we do go with this seal at a concept level, I think this seal is perfect, actually. But I think we need to maybe, I don't know if it's somebody in-house or a graphic designer we could hire to do that sort of positioning where it's, you know, it's balanced. In other words, they use software, it's usually on.
Make it aesthetic to the
shop.
eye.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you did it just like that, using this concept, I think it'd be perfect.
I believe this was put together by Tony downstairs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Tony did an excellent job, because I see
Yep.
Tony on the Zoom. It's just, it might be worth a little investment in that sense.
Just as an aside, the design that we agreed to, the committee agreed to for the anniversary was this particular one here, because it encompasses our schoolhouse.
Okay, but that was done with no software?
Yeah, there's no,
We don't have software.
Yeah.
She did that by hand, so you know.
And that's my point, basically, is,
By hand.
yeah.
And that is actually, whether you see it or not, that is exactly level, it's equal. It won't go in there.
It's
Oh, okay.
symmetric.
It's all symmetric.
Maybe, yeah.
To get it any better, you gotta farm it out to somebody that's gonna charge you money. Tony did that, and she did an awesome job.
Yeah, I think she did. And MJ, just stop a minute, come here. I'm not saying anybody did not do an awesome job. I think at a concept level, awesome job. The only thing I'm saying is that if it is worth the investment, I think, to farm it out to somebody just to get that sort of, you know, the
Right. I just
positioning
wanna
in
make sure Tony
alignment.
got credit for what she did.
And I'm glad she did it, because concept-wise, it's exactly what, I think it's perfect, so.
And
So,
it's
very,
That's
it's
the one
similar,
that
but
they
it
wanna
isn't.
use
That
for
is
the-
something I gave her. I
Okay.
gave her that design.
so just so you know that the city of Amesbury
Yep,
has the same seal, basically.
so we're stealing Amesbury's.
Well, I mean, the only difference is the coloring and I can show, I mean, here, let me just show it to you just for a second, just so you know. That's their seal.
different carriage.
It's the same carriage, just different colors.
Yeah,
I thought their logo was a buggy whip.
Okay,
yeah.
so that, just so you know, that's their seal. And the only reason I know.
Wish maybe you'll get your wish and have your picture in there after all.
Can I see that again?
Nice job, Tony.
Yeah,
The difference is
absolutely.
the coloration in the seal.
Joe, this is awesome.
Yeah, Carol did that.
I would definitely use that for the,
The thing that's coming out of the...
Logo on the
Yeah.
back here.
yep, use that, put it on some t-shirts, sweatshirts, whatever.
It's in the plan, it's in the works.
Those are motorized. Okay,
Carriage,
yeah.
It's bigger.
Thank you.
got it?
Thank you.
And for those that just heard us talking here at the table, Selectman Simone has a more enhanced one that they want to use for the 275th anniversary. That's, like I said, it's elaborated a little bit more, and it would look very good on T-shirts and sweatshirts and whatever.
Yeah,
So-
it's a freehand one, actually.
Yeah.
Right? It's a, yeah, so it's all
Which is
good.
very nice, so.
Good.
We'll make our decision next meeting?
Sure.
Okay. With that said, we'll move on to warrant articles.
You have in front of you, hot off the press, revisions that were made as a result of decisions you made at the last meeting. And also took some of the observations that you guys made on what you'd like to see. So I learned from Mr. Doggett that the planning board is anticipating 2 articles,
Yeah.
and the Chairman Bob confirmed that, so that's where the 2 placeholders are at the top of the warrant. We have no final budget numbers yet. There's that high-level dialogue you guys need to keep in mind about wages. And also, if you're inclined to go out to a warrant article, if you're inclined, you want to make sure that the dollar value that you use in the article does not include new employees, because that would not be a wage adjustment. That's the salary of an employee that, for example, Highway's going to put it for a second employee in the budget. That money should probably stay there and not get taken out, because you're talking about cost of living raises, so to speak.
Right.
And that doesn't fit the criteria. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, we can help out with the math.
So right now, we're looking at a total of 16, including the 2 that are going to be coming from the planning board.
Yeah, I don't know if it, yeah. Yep. So the one that I did have a question on was, it's currently number 6. It's the town buildings capital reserve fund. I don't know if that is captured by Selectman Simone's recommendation for a capital reserve fund known as the Newton Municipal Complex Study Fund. Meaning, I don't know if the existing fund allows for building a brand new building.
Well, it looks the way it was set up, it allows for construction, renovation, and the like. But I know when we did it last time, I structured this one as after the one that we did last time with the RSAs and everything. I really didn't consider it when I was thinking about it, that we had money in that town building fund. But we want to use that town building fund because if we're talking about doing something to the fire station down the road, I think that money is there to take care of that.
Well, there's well over $200,000 in that fund, correct?
256,000.
Yeah. And, you know, I was talking with Mr. Simone privately about it, and in it, with the intention is to get a layout of where these buildings sit structurally, if they're worth putting money into, but as we also know that this town has outgrown the complex here at Town Hall, that there's a lot of issues. The clerk has talked about she doesn't have enough room in the safe to be able to put the valuable papers and stuff like that. The other safe is pretty full. The sill on one side of the building, the heating issues for what it's costing the town to heat this. It's been, I think it's served its purpose. There's also been talk about, you know, the library and stuff, and I don't see why not in the capital reserve fund that we have for the town buildings, that it would be permissible to withdraw the funds out of that in order to have a study done on the buildings so that we could present to the townspeople the exact conditions of them, what it would cost to bring them up to date, so that like what we saw with the police station, when we got that in order to renovate that building, that it would be a lot cheaper than just build a new one if we had to put in all the updates, and then also be putting the police department out of sorts because with all the work that's going on. So for right now, especially where we have all these warrant articles, in order to get it started for the 1 year to get the study done, we could do that. And then if possible, depending on what comes out of it, we could start a fund like Joe's saying, and then earmark that for specifically for building a new town hall.
I was going to say pretty much the exact same thing. I think this is a 2025 warrant article, and I tend to agree with everything Bob just said, but I'm going to add to that. I'm going to add the fact that if our proposed budget is as high as we think it will be, people will probably have a negative taste in their mouth, I guess you could say. And what I'm afraid of is people are going to say they want us, and granted it might be zero tax impact, they want to take $50,000 to study something. Is, you know, it might be ignorance when they say that without understanding what it's for, but
Right.
I agree with what Bob said. I think we're heading in that direction, but I think, I give the example because it's the only example I can give as far as building a building is the fire station. And what we did is we did a study. We took money out of existing funds to do the study, to do the initial study, to come up with all the designs and stuff. And then we took that and we approached the voters
And
with
pursued
that,
it from there, right?
with a warrant article. Obviously, it didn't pass for the first 2 years or whatever it was, but I'm a little concerned that the way it's written with $50,000, 13 might not be successful in 2024, and hopes that if we do a little more work on it, we can have a better one in 2025.
Well, I'd like to say that we're kicking the can down the road again. We've been talking about this for years and years and years, and every time we turn around, there's more deterioration taking place. If we don't start now, we're going to have another excuse next year, and we won't do it next year.
So
What's to say that none of the warrant articles that we propose will pass?
So let me ask you this question, Joe, because I appreciate what you're saying, and you're pretty much right with what you said, but what is the $50,000 for?
I just came up with that number to put some money in there to create a fund. Now, we can go over the mechanics of it, we can rewrite it anyhow we want, so it passes muster. I just want to establish and start a fund, because if we don't do it now, as I said, we're kicking the can down the road again, and next year we'll come up with another excuse and say, well, it's going to be another bad year. We need to start doing it now and being proactive, because every time we turn around, something is going wrong with the buildings.
But you pick that number.
I just picked that number as a round number.
And I think that's what I'm going for, because if we know, you talk about a plan, you talk about a study.
We can
But
work
if
on the mechanics
If we
of
have a
the
scope,
language.
it might be $10,000.
So what did you guys spend to have the study done for the fire department?
I think the first one, Mike, was like $2,000. We took it out of,
I think by the time we were all done, Mike Pavero, road agent, I think by the time we were all done, because it was 3 years.
Yeah.
It took 3 years to get it from,
The study took
conception.
3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably
I mean,
even
because
longer
we
than
had
that.
to evaluate the existing fire station. Then once that evaluation was done, we had to go up to 8 Merrimack Road. We did the Butler Building. We looked at everything before we actually went for a completely new structure. It was a fair amount of time. It was like 3 years.
I don't think we need to evaluate the town hall.
No, well,
I think we already did. We already did that as part of that survey.
us sitting here right now, I would agree. You go to the scrutiny of the residents of Newton, they're gonna want some evaluation done on the structures at some level,
Sure.
for a comfort
Easier.
level.
with this
Right.
bill.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that this is kind of
Yeah.
SA.
we've extended its life period, and now we're just throwing good money after bad money.
Sure.
Can I jump into just on
Yeah.
this topic, right? We have a very long-term, generous resident in town that has been concerned for a while about Town Hall and the library. They're, again, very generous, and I think they've approached me a number of times on some land that they'd be willing to, I'm not going to say donate, I don't have the right to say that here, but help the town with.
Sure.
So I know what you're saying, Matt, but Joe's right on this one. I think we kicked the can down the road too much. Is 50 the right number? I don't know. It might be high. I mean, maybe to get this palatable for the residents, you shoot at 20,
Maybe we go to 20.
you know? Because it won't go 1 year. I'm standing here and telling you
Oh, we
right
know
now,
that.
this will not be a 1-year deal. This will take multiple years to get it
think
down
the
from
fire
cradle to
station-
grave.
The second time we did it was that 3 years thing. Prior to that, it was like, we started way before that, as you well know.
And I think if we went back and looked at the fire station, it was 3 years to get it, to be able to present it to the town, because we had committees and subcommittees, and it was a long duration to get it there.
Mm-hmm.
Then once we had it packaged, it was still 2 years to get it
We had
to
to sell
pass
it to
in
the,
here.
yes.
So it's probably 5 or 6 years by the time we actually got it so that we could go break ground.
Well,
I
that's
don't think
the,
I'd kick it down the road. You know, who knows? We have no crystal ball what's going to happen in
Really
March.
draft.
We got to be a realist. But
well, that's the point that I was making, though, is that we have the money already
Correct.
in that fund
Yeah.
that we can go ahead and hire somebody to do the study.
That's what I was gonna say.
And then take that, like you said, be able to present that to the townspeople so that they understand and know what's going on. And then with that, then we could go ahead and, like you said, that would probably be at the point of next year where we could do the fund and set it for, specifically for funding a new town hall, possibly, you know, what it could be if it was,
well, we already have some
2 and 1.
conceptual stuff
Right.
that we've been working on our own to
Right.
present, but it has to be done in a more formal basis. And the
Right.
key to what you just said, it's all in the presentation.
right.
So-
And then the other part of that is what I was gonna say is because of the unassigned fund balance
Yep.
to which we're drawing money out of this year, Joe, is what we would be able to take some money out of that unassigned balance, which is what you were looking at
No reason we
to
can't
put
do it
into
this
the
year.
fund next year.
No reason we can't do it this year and get a start on it.
Well, so here's my thing. Why can't we just run the study?
That's what I'm saying.
We don't have to do this at all. So then the next thing that we put on the ballot is, all right, we did our study, we need this. Not necessarily a plan, an engineer, whatever, I'll put that to the voters, but to run the study to see if this building is worth whatever, we should just do that.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, and again, it's the only example I can come up with because of the, we did all the study, we did all the talking about it independent of a warrant article.
Correct. There was no warrant involved in any of that.
Exactly, and then what we did was we said we need an architect to actually do drawings and all that stuff. So we took, I believe it was 2,000 out of a line item, an existing line item, hired the architect did the drawing, made up that stuff you had on the tripods and all that
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
And then that's when we had the warrant article, because we're able to present to people at the deliberative, this is why we think we need it, right? Which a lot of it we knew already from the study. This is what we'd like to do. This is how much we think it's gonna cost. Please vote for warrant article 13 or whatever. My fear is just that I think we're all in agreement that we don't want to kick the can down the road. But the action doesn't necessarily have to be a warrant article. We could take action tonight.
That's my point.
We
That's what I was
could do
going.
it.
And I
It's
would like
just-
to make a motion that we do that.
Do it at other business. We're doing it in the warrant article right now, but when we get to other business,
Right.
like you have my support, like I told you, I will definitely do that because it should be done. And then we move forward from there.
Sounds like a plan.
you know.
I'm
'cause
glad we
fine with
opened up the
that.
dialogue and got that rolling.
Yeah, no, I'm good with
Yeah.
that, for sure.
Uh-oh, Diane's coming.
Hey, Mike,
You forgot to lower the mic.
what was the date of the last study?
For which one?
For the fire station?
Oh, God.
Well, yeah,
2000,
It was,
2005.
no,
when we
the fire station broke ground in 2017.
Yeah, it was-
We probably started,
I know, I was trying to find it, I couldn't find it.
13.
13, okay, so it was before I was on the board, but I remember
probably 13.
we hired the architect, so that was probably 15, something like that.
And now, just to keep some continuity, it was a little more complex then than now because we did a complete
Building by
evaluation of
building.
all the town buildings at the time.
Building by building.
And there was a committee and then a subcommittee, and then we came back and met as a full committee, and we said, listen, the one that's in dire straits is the fire department.
Sure.
That did priority number one. But they were all looked at back then at that time.
so they still have some value, because they've only gotten worse,
That's the place,
right, than the last
Well,
time.
they do.
yeah,
Yeah,
place
yeah.
to start.
Yeah,
And the number 2 and number 3 position was town hall and the library.
Yep.
So those were the sequence of where the buildings needed to be addressed.
And then
Do we
what,
have them? Boy, our archives aren't,
Oh, it'd be nice if we did have them.
we might have them. I wouldn't rule it out, but
could
Should ask
they be in
Bill
the planning
Landry.
department?
We should ask Bill Landry, because he was the chairman of that committee.
of the full committee?
I believe so.
well, it would be good if we had them, and then we could do the study now, and then do a comparison on how
Yeah.
further down the building has dilapidated, would be the word to use.
I mean, I wouldn't rule that out, but I don't think we should spend a lot of time because it was,
No.
you already just said it. We knew back then, library and town hall were 1 and 2, 2 and 3, right? They've gotten worse. So they're still gonna hold 2 and 3 on the list. Now they're 1 and 2.
Right.
So I think we just do
I don't want to do a whole town building thing.
no. I think you have somebody come in here and just write the deficiencies of both these buildings, where they
right.
don't meet code, where they don't meet this, all of it. And it's not a hard sell. They're old buildings and they take a lot.
Well, I have you all here. I am talking with the facility maintenance tech about something to do with the second floor of the PD. In his prior life, he was a risk management consultant, and he has shared with me that if you put, for example, wrought iron,
We talked about this last week.
we did?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yep. Where the sliders are,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, boy, I'll be all right.
We don't want people to change the channel to the Patriots, so if it's a rerun,
There's no chance
it's
of
a
that.
rerun, they're gonna,
No chance of that, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah,
I think Jim was building on
we'll
something.
definitely want to move forward with this, like we said, and we'll take care of that towards the end.
I think Diane wants to say
I don't think we have any time for
All right, but
Diane.
I think
Thanks, Mike.
that lady, Miss Moran, wanted to say something.
Sorry, out of time.
Just some history for you. So there is 2 funds. There's the 8 Merrimack Road Capital Reserve Fund, I believe. It's capital reserve or revolving fund, that you could take money out of there to do a
engineering.
study. Back in '22, we sent out for bid just to do a study and evaluation of the police station. That was close to 20 grand was the lowest bid.
Yep,
So your 50,000's not off, but your 10 was.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that you do have a second fund, the general government, general town buildings, general fund, something
Yeah.
like that. You could take money out of there. So you really do not need a warrant article to take that money. You have the right to expend those funds.
that's what my point was,
Right.
to just take the money from
The
there.
good news with the 8 Merrimack Road Fund is it's revenue generating, right?
Yeah,
Where-
10-something a year.
Exactly, so we do get money back into that.
I get it.
And that's the one you were thinking about for the fire department, the 8 Merrimack Road.
Yes, that could be.
That one or the town building fund?
Rent.
Right, but that's the one you were saying about the money to
Right.
put back into the fire
Right,
department
the
to
town
finish.
building fund.
Right.
Okay?
All right, Mr. Bavero, you have another comment?
Clarify what Diane said. The 20 grand to do the police station was a working set of drawings. It wasn't
That's not this, right.
correct.
Yeah.
So the 20 grand was not an evaluation, it was a complete building review with a full set of bid drawings.
Right,
Yeah, we don't want that. Nope.
right. No,
Okay.
But we would still have the money in the account to do that
Do
too.
the same thing, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
exactly.
Okay.
So we got the money
So
there.
wait, so I guess what we're saying is we're gonna strike this and we're gonna have it done.
Yeah, for study, yeah,
You're
sure.
good with that, though?
I'm
That's
fine
what I
with that,
mean,
yeah.
like,
No, I'm
we're gonna
good because
strike
we got,
it,
the dialogue has begun,
and
so
we're
if
gonna get
nothing
it
else,
done.
we're moving
It
forward.
would be a motion, okay.
Yep.
We're good.
Very good. So is there anything else about that that you had questions on?
Page 2?
No.
It's number,
Okay.
no, it's
So
number
number 6, we're good with that, and we're also good with Joe's thing.
it's on page.
So were there any other ones that anybody was interested that thought that they might want to come off?
No, there wasn't another.
I know there's a certain member in our audience that wanted to come up and address one of them.
Yep,
Chief King?
that we'll need to do later. It's fine.
Good evening. Rich Kane, interim police chief. I guess I need to clarify, are we still on? Is the warrant article still on, or is it?
Yeah, the warrant
And
article's
it's still
in
on,
there,
right.
and it's still on. I think
I put it back on.
he put it back on, and
Number 7, correct? Is that the one we're looking at?
Yes,
Yes,
police cruiser and equipment, we
25,000.
said, for the rotation.
So if that's the case, I'd certainly support the warrant article. Just as a little history on these types of things, besides salary, really, vehicles, they're the top 3 in a police department budget when it comes down to spending money. And I think the capital reserve is a great way to avoid spikes in the budget. you know,
Right.
When we actually need to purchase the equipment. I really think it's a conservative approach to raise funds for the equipment. Currently, there's $32,000 in the account. The last car, vehicle that we're purchasing cost $71,000 to buy and equip. So that's a pickup truck, but a regular cruiser is approaching $65,000 a year anyway, to purchase one. We will not have to buy a car in 2024, so this will give us an opportunity to bump up some money in that account for when we do need to purchase one in '25. Last time I was here, I told you I was working on a replacement rotation. That's still in the works, and I'll have that done in the next month. And as you look down the road, you'll be able to say, we need one this year, 2 next year, 1 this year, whatever it might turn out to be. So I'd encourage you to keep it, the figures the same, and if you keep the warrant, I'd certainly encourage the voters to support the warrant article as it's written.
All right.
I would just add that I would, again, I would take that money from the unassigned fund balance, like we're doing for the fire apparatus.
Yeah, so it's a zero tax impact.
Exactly.
Both of them.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Trish, did you want to say anything? You seem a little antsy over there.
So this is in the form of a question I'm relaying from somebody else. The question is, I forgot to tell you to ask the Board of Selectmen, if you talk about warrant articles, the fire department is putting in for $75,000 for the apparatus revolving account. So I'm just reading what I was asked to read. I said I'd mention it, and he said out of unanticipated fund account. So I don't know if that's something you already have.
no, we have 25,000.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
okay,
That's last year's language, too.
okay,
I don't know where the additional 50 would be coming from.
okay.
Obviously, fire apparatus is a lot more
money.
costly
Right.
Costly, sure.
than PD's stuff.
Okay, I just wanted to mention it, the deputy mentioned it to me today, too. But, so I'm just reading what was
Deputy
sent to me.
Kane?
Yes. We're surrounded by canes. Thank you.
Thank you, Trish.
so we're saying we want to bump that up to 75 or another number?
Hey, quick math, just so that you're aware. With the sole exception of the operating budget, All the other warrant articles are coming from the unassigned fund balance.
That's what my next question was gonna be, and that's what I was why I was saying maybe next year about taking money from there, is because we need to see at this point how much we're taking out of it. Because we are trying to offset so that the tax increase is as minimal as it can be, as the townspeople have already witnessed because of the hit that we all took because of the school at this point and their tax increase. So,
So, a rough total is about 347,000 worth of unassigned fund balance monies to
Right.
fund this warrant.
In
these
the
warrants,
total of the unassigned fund balance,
5.
2.5? Okay. So 347, if you added another 50,
would be 400,
almost 400.
403.
roughly,
Yeah. I mean, that's the type of numbers we just have to consider. you know?
Yeah,
So, do you guys normally, so I see that it's not in there under the cruiser to be taken from the unassigned fund balance.
that's because he just put it back
Correct.
on. though, right?
Yeah, I know what
Last
you're
year we
asking. is
Normally,
we normally ask
the voters.
to pay for it.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So can we do the same thing with the fire apparatus?
Good.
We're doing it with the police, we should do the same thing with the fire.
No, I wanted the
Oh, you wanna
police,
just
I wanted,
include 'em.
yes, I want that to come out of the unassigned also.
So this would be, our strategy this year is basically, as you just said, Jim, other than Article 1, actually Article 2, right? I think 1 is the officers.
Yep.
Other than Article 2, everything would be zero tax impact. That's unusual for us to do that. Normally, it's not all of them are zero tax impact. Normally, it might be 50-50. So if we were to do that, this would be the first year in my memory where we would do that. So that's why I brought up 400,000, because if we're comfortable using 400,000 out of the 2.5, so we'd still be over 2 million, then we could go that way. Otherwise, we'd have to ask the voters for a little more.
Well, we're fortunate that we have the money to be able to do that.
Right. The only thing is on the other end, right, is you don't really build that up.
That's true.
I think when I started on the Board of Selectmen, it was a lot more than it is now, right?
Right.
But, in previous years, we've had years where we underspent enough where we started to build it up. And so if you did reduce that, and let's say you're at an even 2 million or 2.1, it's going to be 2.1 for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it is, like we talked about, keeping, especially because this is a huge hit for everybody within the way inflation came in, all the other bills, not just the taxes, but the food, the oil, and everything else that the townspeople are having to pay child care. I mean, they all add up. So I think that was the key point that we were trying to stress by doing this. And it would still, like you talked about, we would still have ample funds in there for an emergency and/or if we had to do something else.
and I'm sorry, before Trish says her thing, is what we can't forget is if EMS is then included, it could be almost $1 million, right? Because we want to put in an EMS warrant article.
14, no language yet, just a
No
placeholder.
language in 14 yet, no dollar figure in 14. 14 could be, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We just don't have
Right.
that exactly.
Could be like 375 to 400 for that.
We didn't
Just-
put
we've been
130
working on
in
numbers.
this morning, did we?
And so you probably don't need to know this because you,
No, we forgot. I just remembered we forgot.
Okay,
We need to fix that.
thank you.
on the fire apparatus, on that 25, just to, if my memory serves me correct, during deliberative, it was increased to 50. So to go from 50 to 75, because everything is more costly, that makes sense. So I just wanted to explain that to you.
So the good news is we don't have to decide on any of this tonight, right?
Right,
Right.
right.
But these are numbers as warrant Article 14 becomes a little better into focus and we do have specific numbers, then we can make decisions like that. But
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Trish.
thanks. So maybe as we update this draft that's in front of us for, where was I, for 8, the fire apparatus one, maybe for the draft, we put it at 75,000 just to have it captured in the draft, and then
Sure.
we make our final decisions once we have specific numbers. What's the DRA thing with the unassigned fund balance? They're always, what is it, Diane, 30%?
No, it's like 7%.
5 to 17
Different
usually.
levels.
Yeah.
It's two
Yeah,
different,
the upper end is like
different
17
groups.
for an
The
emergency.
Municipal Association
Yeah.
and the New Hampshire Municipal Finance Officers Association.
Right.
So that's where the spread is.
Yeah, yeah. I think at any rate, we're a little better focused after tonight's discussion.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Solrock?
That's that $30,000 warrant article that we put on every year.
That's all the
It's all the
charity.
charities and everything.
Yeah.
Well,
That's not in that,
that's social services. Yeah.
whatever.
The social
yeah.
service
Yeah.
agencies that
That's
serve.
not in the budget, and it's not on the other budget.
Right.
Yeah, so
We talked
that's,
about that last week,
on
about
me, it's
not on here.
included in the budget, didn't we?
there was,
Yep.
one year we discussed putting it in the budget and there was,
So if it's not, if the SOROC one isn't gonna go in the budget, we just put it on the warrant article. It was on last year. The other thing, we have to put that in the budget, so.
I believe when we
We
spoke,
talked about putting that in the budget, and then if one of those line items that are in that
Changes.
changes, that we would just have to put that as a warrant article to
Discussed that
increase.
last week.
or a new agency or an
Right,
agency.
exactly,
Or change?
Right.
is
Needs
what
the
we had
service.
said. So maybe for this year, where we're getting this close, like Dan said, we could just do it as a warrant article.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
so talking about rehashing what we did last week, I'm gonna do it now. When we discussed that, if we went to a default, because all of those passed the previous year for probably, at least 10 years as part of a warrant article, would those be protected in the default? So if the police or our welfare officer had to dip into those funds, would we have to find those in other parts of the budget if we went to a default? That's my question.
Good question.
That's why it always passes on the warrant.
Oh, Lisa has her hand up.
Yeah, Lise?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
What I would suggest is put the warrant article on this year and say, if the operating budget warrant article passes, then this warrant article is
Will
null
be
and void.
included.
Or that particular verbiage that we use. For if one warrant article passes, then this warrant article is no longer effective.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That way we cover the town so that if the operating budget proposed does not pass, we still get the funds from the warrant article itself if that passes. But if the operating proposed gets passed, then we won't take the extra tax money for the separate warrant article.
So they are contingent.
Well, it's.
Correct.
You've seen it before in the language. At the bottom, it says, if the proposed budget passes, this article's null and void. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn it around like she's here. Lisa, could you just drop me a note on that, please?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
So that'll work.
You're welcome.
Then.
Might be downstairs for all we know working, so.
Could be.
No, haven't left yet. I want to hear you guys vote on one of these items before I head over.
Is that
All
a threat?
righty.
Is there a vote?
I don't think so.
All right, anything else?
I think that is as good as we're
Because
getting.
then the other come on, speak. The other thing is we could possibly fund that from the unassigned balance too for this year,
Yeah, possibly.
the $30,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would not do that. Like I said, if it comes out of the proposed budget, that's great and wonderful. But if it doesn't, then have it paid out of taxes just like it has every other year. Because it's not an increase per se from the current tax rate.
And it always passes.
Exactly.
I would leave it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anything else missing?
Well, quickly, Article 9 is asking the voters if you can be authorized to lease land for the purpose of hosting a cell tower. Number 10 is a placeholder. I don't have a job description yet, but that's the recreation coordinator to assist with programming, primarily focusing on the summer months. Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is the intent, in the voter's guide, there would be more specificity as
Yeah,
to-
I gave him more specificity, but he cut it out, so.
Well, you don't typically put that in the...
No, I know, but yes, it'll be more. It's gonna be overall for programming and stuff like
Yeah,
that, for
yeah,
everybody,
yeah.
you know.
Because that, similar to what I said about the plan for the town hall and stuff, the more you're able to tell people what you're gonna use it for, the more success you're probably gonna have.
Oh, is I didn't see it, maybe I overlooked it, the one for the cell tower?
Yeah, we just talked about that.
That's part of that one?
No, we talked about it just before that. Number 9.
Oh, okay.
Jim, that gives us 2 years. That gives us 2 years to find somebody and sign a lease agreement.
That's what that date refers to.
Okay. Yep. That's what I figured, I just wanted to make sure.
I almost took it out because it could be read the other way around, which is you get 2 years to get the
It
project
could be
done.
read the other way around, but that's the way I took it, is that the Board of Selectmen have 2 years to sign a long-term lease agreement with whoever it is.
Right.
Which then would give us the authority, because they wanted to do it in, what was it, 10-year increments?
Yes.
Renewals?
Yep. The longer the duration, I think the better the arrangement will be.
Right.
Because they're making a sizable investment. So they might want to see 20, I believe, town
One of them
council.
was 2010, one of them was, 20/10 with 10 years after the first initial was
Oh, that's
20
what it
and
was,
stuff like
okay,
that,
yeah.
so,
Up for like 60
Right.
years.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 11 is seed money for the 275th anniversary. So it'll be creating a revolving fund. The board would be the agents to expend, and monies would come from the unassigned fund balance. 40,000, Joe, you mentioned 40,000 last meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Again, this comes from the unassigned fund balance, anything that we're talking about now.
Right. And Joe's gonna foot the bill for anything over that, he said.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Out-of-pocket expenses.
Article 12 is for the capital reserve for the cyclical reval that by statute we have to do every 5 years. The next one is due in 2025, which is why the amount is 50,000. If we had done it at the beginning of the 5-year window, it'd be 20,000. And then over time, you get to 100 in the 5th year, the year that you're gonna expend that money.
Right.
But we're 1 year away from doing it now, so I thought we could put half, we could put less. But it has to get done in 2025.
Yep.
Whether we have the money or not.
That's it.
That's the important factor that people forget, that if I vote no on this, they can't do the reval on me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we do. We just have to find it somewhere else.
Yeah,
But it has to
because
get done.
the state has no sense of humor when it comes to that and them wanting their money.
Okay, the next placeholder for EMS. And I believe this was yours, Dan. The next one is 15. It's the Highway Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve.
Yep.
And that's to create or establish. And that's in at $100,000, again, to come from the unassigned fund balance.
Yep.
Yep. And 13 we're crossing off.
Yes.
Yep. And then again, at the risk of repeating myself again tonight, Pat from Rec indicated that she believes that there will be a petition warrant article coming related to the boat ramp program.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, to go back to 15, it says raise and appropriate.
No, that's coming out of the cap, unassigned fund
Okay,
balance.
so that language will be changed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think that language appears in all the money articles.
That does, I think that's from DRA. I
A
think.
bunch of them, but not all of them.
Yeah, but we're not,
I think it's a DRA thing.
when,
Happens every year.
yeah, but I know, but I do not believe in a warrant article you raise and appropriate when you're using the unassigned fund balance.
Right. It just says the funds to come from the unassigned fund
Exactly.
balance.
I think it's gonna be on there too.
What did it, look at Lorna last
So,
year.
I mean, we'll have it worked out by then, but the,
Have you ever funded a warrant article from the unassigned?
Look at one of the books
yeah.
from last
So there's language that I can find.
there's some out there.
Okay.
We don't, like I said, it's not we don't do that many warrant articles every year, but for some reason I thought the definition of raise and appropriate means you're taxing.
Right, I think this is what we put in, right, on like on 12, it says, this article would result in no increase in the amount to be raised by taxes, said amount to come from unassigned fund balance,
Okay.
something to that
But we have time
effect.
to work that out.
Yeah.
It is? Okay. So, everybody just stay calm. That was my mistake, so
No worries.
it happens every now
Could
and
we
then.
mark that down on the calendar? He admitted to
We
making a
don't
mistake.
have much room on
This
that
the first and
calendar.
last one?
You can put that in quotes in a minute.
Okay, yes.
Bold, underlined.
Yeah, when you do the minutes, please.
All right, we're getting there. If you guys have thoughts outside of the meeting, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll make it a topic for the next time you all get together as a group.
Very good. And we're gonna move on to the budget.
This morning, Dan, Diane, and I went through the budgets. Our initial focus was to make sure that the default was as appropriate as we could get it, I guess would be because the delta, when you first saw the budget document, was close to $600,000 again. But last year, because of my newness, there were many items that were not carried into the default that were indeed contractual obligations. I just wasn't aware of them. So as my institutional memory, Diane, she's got more of a history of what can appropriately be carried over into a default. So Dan, Diane, and I looked at these this morning, and we have the gap under 350?
That's,
$363,006.
Yeah.
that's a lot better than the picture we were painting last time.
Yeah.
Well, we have to, so
So our working one right now
it's a
is
working one right now.
$363,006.28. Now, we've just been told to add a few more things in there, right, Dan?
Yeah, sorry.
All right, so again, this is,
I couldn't not.
right, this is just the working document.
Yeah.
So right now, we did bring it down quite a bit. So not bring it down, we adjusted the correct numbers.
Adjusted the way it's supposed to, right,
Right.
exactly. So now
It'll be up a little more.
we have to do some more work, but
All right,
Excellent, but we're headed in the right direction.
we are.
Yes.
Yeah,
We are.
which is good.
This is very helpful to us, but it can be busy and overwhelming to people who don't deal with it
I think if
every
we're gonna
day.
go public, we're gonna clean some of this up with this document when it's ready.
Yeah, when it's ready. The other thing I always felt kind of aggravating was the fact, and we can't do much about it, is that we don't know how much we spent yet for the year because there's still so much time.
Right, you don't know until.
Before the-
you know,
And
the
bills
second-
are still coming in, exactly.
So that can be very beneficial to the conversation if the numbers are, closer to, well, I mean, in January, the picture's much better.
Sure.
I'm almost certain I asked Peyton if she could collapse these lines and just show departments with the same columns, and you get a flavor for where your biggest increase is gonna be
Yeah.
at a quick glance, so maybe I can get that to you if she hasn't already sent it to me.
That'd be helpful.
Well, and while we're on the budget, we can pick up where we left off last time, which was how do you want to address wages globally or individually?
Well, I didn't see much positive response from my idea. So, it's not my first rodeo with the, so, I mean, I think the fact that what you're describing is as we get better into focus, is the numbers are headed in the right direction, I think we should not do a globalized approach.
So we're gonna leave well enough alone.
So,
Well, there are some budgets that do not contain any adjustments at all. It was playing wait and see, so
Yeah.
to speak. But most departments submitted an increase. Most supplied supporting documents of where the monies were going. But I'm pretty sure.
Just before you finish that thought, remember, we had you send an email to all department heads that said, include any wage increases
That's
you're looking
correct.
for. So if they didn't include it, let's make sure this is in the minutes. If they didn't include it, then they don't want it as a department head, is what
And
I'm.
if they need to raise money, they'll have to set up their own lemonade stands.
Jim, I'd like to see, maybe send out a memo that, make sure they have those in by next week's meeting, so we have them. No excuses.
Yeah,
Have it on a PowerPoint presentation, nice and neat and easy to read.
And like Matt said, we want facts to substantiate. We just don't want a number thrown at us.
so just to be clear, because we kind of went over this today when we were going over the budget, the numbers in there don't necessarily mean that's what they're getting for a raise.
Right.
They still have to be given, they still have to be approved by us. It's not a
It's a budget.
Right.
By every definition of the word, it's a
It's a budget.
salary budget.
It is not, but it's not, the increases in here are not the
granted.
granted ones that are, this firefighter hit this cert, this police officer got this, degree or whatever. That's not this. These raises are, hey man, this guy's doing a really good job and deserves it. That's those raises, but they're not final.
Right, but if I'm a department head and I'm budgeting for everything you just described, I'm gonna use that to
Sure.
create that number.
Sure, you know which guys are in certain trainings and they're gonna be hitting certain things and they're gonna, deserve that, and I understand that,
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that this isn't definite of what, like, somebody's getting a raise, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a working document.
Yeah. And that, like we said, I think the board favors that kind of merit-based approach.
I
that,
agree.
Right.
You know, you need, because if I was doing my budget, I'd say, well, geez, maybe everybody needs 3%, so I'm gonna calculate 3%, and then I've got these 4 people that have been killing it, and I wanna make sure they're rewarded, so I'm gonna add this number, and then there's my thing. Now, to be fair, those department heads who didn't give you any increases to the salary line item, maybe they're thinking, and I said, to be fair, maybe they're thinking they can still do that
Within their budget,
within their budget.
which is fine,
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
fine.
100%.
But we just want to make sure that that is the case.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you guys want to remove that 30,000 that's in the transfer station budget?
Yes,
Okay.
doesn't belong in their line item because it's on the warrant.
I just want to make sure before we change anything. Do you know which line we're talking about, Matt?
Yeah, we've, I don't,
Hazardous waste
line?
thing.
yeah, we were just talking about it as we came into the room.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So
Yeah.
we're good with that. We're going to take that out. Jim, you hear us?
Sounds like that's just a,
Oversight?
Well, we're not going to take it out. We're going to go back to what he had in there for the default, which was $800, because he does spend some to get rid of some
Right.
hazardous
Like
waste,
batteries
which I
and
understand.
Right. But
But he
in,
doesn't need the 30.
but in doing that, that also kind of nullifies the fact that we're adding the other one to the budget, so it kind of keeps it right where it's at for the
Okay,
30,000 that we were talking about earlier
that's good.
for all those agencies. Yes,
Yeah,
So it
you didn't
kinda
find it in
washes.
there, right? You didn't find it in there, right? I didn't think so. Okay.
On that note, for social services, for
Yep.
like the SOROC and all those ones that the police and I think welfare uses, I was looking at it and I was wondering, would we want to put that under the police department? They have community outreach services.
yeah.
Would that be an appropriate place to put all those
I
in
was going
there?
to say that or under welfare.
I don't know, the
what?
welfare uses some
Under
of that too.
welfare, too.
yeah,
You want,
just from the standpoint that I think my historical understanding is sometimes the police are the instigators of some of these funds, but a lot of times it's also the welfare agent. So it's almost like, you know, either, I don't think we can split the whole thing, but
that's right, it was, because we already had a line item, so I didn't know if
Right,
we wanted to put it
instead of
there.
having to create one.
So I think that needs to be decided where that's,
yeah.
who's going to take that in their budget.
And do you have the, what's in the line item for the welfare one now?
There's nothing in.
There's nothing,
You have to create a line item, or if there is one, it's not here. We don't see it. So we'd have to create a line item for that. We have to create another line item for the ambulance service.
Right,
So, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a line item in there that says ambulance, but I'm not sure that's what we're
But we're not doing that this year. We're putting it back on the warrant, all
Right.
6 or 7 agencies, and it's totaling about 33.
right.
Well, no, we were gonna put it on a warrant, and we were gonna put it in the budget.
If it passes.
If the budget passes, this warrant's null and void, right?
Yep.
That's how we're gonna do it.
So essentially what you have to do, right, is you have to create a line item for $1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what the
exactly.
budgeting workshop says, so we would have to find out where we're gonna put $1 in there for the proposed, and then if we get that money, it'll go in there.
Right,
Okay.
so that's something you need to decide where you're going to put it.
Oh, no, you would put the 30,000 in for the proposed,
Right,
and
So
then,
here's the deal, we spent it
right,
already this year.
Yeah,
But where did it come from?
it came from the warrant,
From the general fund, though.
right,
right?
Did it get attached to any line items?
right. So we could do that with the police, and then just put the 30, like we said, the
Over there,
30,000.
Like, great, thanks for raising my budget 30 grand.
That account to do with the community relations account that we just developed this year.
But you know, it's funny, because I think our approach has always been, for whatever that means, to keep things in the warrant articles, right? and then pull them out as we need them.
Sure.
Right?
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure which way is right, but this year we've talked more about it, as soon as it's approved, second Tuesday in March on whatever it is, you take that money and then you move it to the line items. That's what we haven't done before.
Sure.
So we would have to have a destination, but I don't think in the proposed you put the anticipated money in the proposed, right? Because it'd be double.
Well,
we
no, because in the
Because I
word
want it
in,
in the proposed.
right,
We want it in the proposed, so we don't have to go to warrant anymore.
exactly.
After this year,
Right, but the warrant article is going to say,
If it passes.
If the budget passes,
The proposed
this
budget.
warrant article is null and void, so the 30,000 will already
null
be.
and void. I get what you're saying now. Yep.
so that money's not getting attached to anything. So
Exactly.
right now, we have to create a line item,
I
put
get it
30
now.
grand on it, and, right, it's 30,000?
Close, yeah.
Whatever the dollar amount is, we have to put that in the
get it.
budget. And
Yeah, I
then
was
next
thinking it was going to read
we're
differently.
good.
So,
We don't have to do
So,
it again.
Chief, would you prefer that we did a welfare line, or,
we're going to put it in highway. Mike's coming.
Highway, we can put it highway.
What's it?
Highway wants no part of it. You bring up a valid point, and we all know this. That warrant has passed, I want to say as long as I can remember, so it's 15 years, right? It's already in an operating budget.
right?
And that's the hard part that you got to articulate to the voters, that we already have it in the operating budget.
Right.
So just put it on a line item on operating budget and do away with the
Exactly.
warrant.
That's the plan.
That's the key.
Yeah, that's the plan to get it done this year with a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of different things that we want to
But
take
Mike's
out of
saying, don't
warrant.
even put the warrant article out, just put it in a line item.
Hand up.
But then if it fails, you're done.
I gotta put it in a warrant.
You got to put it in both places. This year.
Can I make a comment here?
Go ahead, Lise.
You already are?
All right, just to clarify, the warrant articles that passed, those funds do not go against any budget line item. They are tracked separately.
Right.
Right,
So you're not going to find a line item, you're not going to see that it came out of the general fund per se, because it's not part of the budget. So
Right.
yes, you,
and that's why we're gonna create a line item for it.
correct.
Yep.
If it passes, then you will have a line item going forward.
Right,
And the only time you need to have a dollar is if you're opening a brand new account.
right.
We're not doing that.
So we don't need a dollar in the line item in the budget.
So we want the line item and just put the full 30,000 in there.
Dan does here. Hold on a second.
Yes, however you want to put it in as a whole item under one, you know.
Right, in case it goes to default.
Correct.
Yep,
I'm trying to think, there's an account, general assistance?
That's welfare.
Yeah.
Welfare Administration.
Yeah, I would put it in general assistance.
Okay, it's just not listed on our sheet, but that's fine. We can get it on there. It's not a big deal.
okay.
And
I would rather
I have no
was in
microphone
welfare.
yet, but
I have my,
I tend to believe Lisa's information over my own information half the time, but
Did you hear that, Lise?
I did. Now, the other thing I would like to say is you want to be careful about putting funds under a department's budget, because what that does is make all of those funds available to that particular department. And once it's in there, they can spend anything up to their budget amount and not necessarily on the line item.
right, so my sentence, I had a comma there. So I tend to believe Lisa's information, but I think we need to verify. We're not going to be able to verify it tonight, just so we do it all right. NHMA, DRA can tell us, but because I was understanding it differently than Lisa explained it, but I think if we're going to make a destination, we could go to general assistance with that. And remember, as we've talked about, we should have T-shirts made up for this, is the Board of Selectmen actually tells the town how it's going to be spent. So if the department gets the money whichever department gets the money, in the end, we're going to tell them if they can spend it. So
yep.
Oh, agreed. I'm just saying that
I said aye, but it
departments
won't be
have
me.
been known to spend funds earmarked for one purpose for another purpose because something else came up
Well,
and
that's-
became more important.
that's on us
And you
then at
don't
that
want
point.
that to happen with the 30,000.
Yeah, so
Right.
we can
That's
set
on us.
controls around
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
But
all right. So moving forward,
All right, so I took that 30. So we're sending a memo to everybody about the salaries?
take another look. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's important that you have the detailed backup because you want to see
wanna
with
see
your
Exactly.
own eyes how they arrived at that number.
right.
Yes.
Also, what will be revealed to you will be the percentage increase by request.
And if they don't provide that, then it's not going in. It's that simple.
Good with that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you know, if a department head wants to round up, that's fine, right? To come up with a number, but
Yeah.
it needs to be a little better targeted than just a
Exactly.
Sure.
blanket, you know.
All right. I'm good with that.
You good?
Yeah, for
Joe, you
now.
good? Yep, we're good. Matt?
So just thinking in terms of the calendar, is our next meeting is
19?
the 19th of December. So what are we going to, what's our expectations of what we're going to have in front of us on the 19th of December and what we're going to do with it? So do we think we're going to finally have some sort of a official budget to start putting signatures on, so to
So
speak?
we can update this as you go through department heads next week. So I mean, we can have this discussion at the end of the meeting next week.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Robin can pop it right up on that big screen as we're adjusting these numbers, the salary numbers, because that's really the only thing left. We'll get the transfer stations, the Trinity contract in there. We'll get the welfare stuff in there. And then as these department heads are coming in, they can be adjusted and then you'll have your number, because I don't think we're changing anything else, right? Are we
I don't
good?
believe so.
I think everything
I think
else
we're
is
good.
etched.
So the only thing that's gonna be fluid right now are those salary increase ones. So we can adjust that real time. So at the end of that meeting or the end of the last department head, we can have that discussion and say, this is our number. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
And then we'll see where we're at, so that if everything's copacetic at that point, then we can just move forward. And if we need to make that one more meeting to put a rubber stamp on it and just do another quick review, then we can do that.
Public hearing is on what day? January?
January 13th?
13th?
I think so.
That's really what we're marching to,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
And we don't want any surprises. Please. All right, so we'll go with the budget now?
Yeah, for now.
Very good.
It's a moving target.
Okay, we're on approvals. The road bond release. Mike, did you want to address that real quick, please?
Yeah, pretty simple for you guys. The house has already got an occupancy permit. I've done the driveway inspection. That was just while the construction was being done for Thornell Road. There's been no damage done to it, so you can release it. It's good to go.
Yep, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So with that said, I move to release the road bond provided for a driveway permit for 36 Thornell Road, tax map 6-8-7-2, and instruct the treasurer to release the amount of $5,000 plus accumulated interest at the North Shore Bank.
Second?
Seconded by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Supplemental tax warrant, tax map 99-1-3.
This is a request from, it's a municipal assessment data certificate, and this is an adjustment, not in the form of an abatement. It's an additional cost to a property owner in town, so it needs to be supplemented. We didn't have the right information to get an accurate assessment, so it requires a supplemental document to go out.
So with that said, I move to approve the supplemental tax warrant for tax map 99-1-3 for year 2023.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guide. All in favor? Aye. That would be unanimous. Equalization ratio assessing. Excuse me.
Our assessor is Murdo, and Christine works the office on Wednesdays, representing our assessing department. She has sent a document that requires board approval and signatures, and it's 2023 Municipal Data Assessment Certificate, which I previously read regarding the other document, so I was incorrect.
Which, to what I was looking at, is just so it shows who's in charge and who's doing the assessing. As far as the municipality is concerned, who's putting the information in,
Yeah,
so they know.
it's our contractor.
Right.
So I then move to approve the 2023 equalization ratio study.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guide. All in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. And we're gonna move on to manifest.
I move to approve a withdrawal in the amount of $300 from the highway construction checking to pay the invoice from Probark.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guide. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
I move to approve a withdrawal in the amount of $239.71 from the food pantry checking account to reimburse Tina O'Rourke for costs associated with items given out at Thanksgiving dinner.
Second?
Seconded by Matt. All in favor? Aye.
You called him Mr. Guide?
Yeah.
You just called me Matt.
I know.
You know this? I just wanted to get that out.
We did vote on that, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous.
I move to approve a withdrawal in the amount of $718.60 from the Cable Committee revolving account for invoices in the amount of $478.58 and $240.02 made payable to Hewlett Packard Financial Services.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guide. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to approve a withdrawal in the amount of $38,247.27 from the police special detail account to reimburse the general fund for payments for police details in Q3.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guide. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
I move to approve vendor manifest in the amount of $1,191,714.15 with the pay date of December 5th, 2023. Payment includes $46,551.93 to Primex and $1,030,695 to Sanborn Regional School District.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Barrow.
Excellent.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, there we go.
I move to approve vendor manifest in the amount of $400 with the pay date of December 7th, 2023. Payment includes $400 for an invoice to Aladdin's Home Improvement for door repairs at the police station.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guide. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
I'm sorry, on this one, is it on here because it's coming out of a special fund? Don't we have to, is that why this is on here?
I missed the question.
So this one is for $400 for a repair. So typically the reason we have it on our manifest is because it's coming out of an account that we have.
Oh, probably the building
Yeah.
repair fund?
So if that's the case, I think we need another sentence in this motion, right?
Funds to
Funds
come
to come
from,
out of,
8 Merrimack Road,
yeah, probably.
good eye.
Because otherwise, a $400 expense wouldn't come before the board.
Right.
Right.
If it was coming out of the department's budget.
Why don't we say it comes out of the engineering and renovation for
Either
8
or,
Merrimack Road?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's your amendment?
Yes.
yeah, amended. And you're good with that, Dan?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm an aye still.
And then we're all still an aye?
Yep.
Yes.
Aye, still unanimous, yep, so we're good. We just want to specify what fund that's coming from. All right, Joe, hit it.
I move to approve a payroll manifest in the amount of $72,378.29 for payroll period November 19th through December 2nd, 2023, with the pay date of December 7, 2023. This manifest includes $41.34 in opera administrative costs.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guide, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes, Joe?
I move to approve and accept the public meeting minutes dated November 21st, 2023 as written.
Second?
Seconded by Mr. Burrow, all in favor?
Aye.
And just for public information, Selectman Conley has permission to be absent tonight. He has a commitment that needed to be made. And did you want to say something?
So the reason that manifest is like that is because it was a special cut, a check that had to be cut because the invoice was from March and it was missed. So it was an additional manifest.
So it still came out of the general
fund.
Okay, so,
Go with the first motion.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
We all good with that?
Yep,
good with that, yeah, makes sense, thank you.
very good, thank you. And the board will now go into non-public session under RSA 91A:32, both D and B, if I can get a motion.
So made.
Made by Joe, seconded by Mr. Burrow. All in favor? Aye.